Yo, what up? How's it going? And welcome back to an LCK VOD review. Today we'll be doing SKT versus KING-ZONE Week 4. This is Game 1. We're going to be doing the full series. So this is really exciting because it's the first series that I'm doing on 9.3. We did just see Genji and Hawan Life play. I'm not going to do a VOD review for that because I was mainly just wanting to watch that because that was the first series on 9.3. So if you're familiar with my VOD reviews, typically I talk a whole lot about the draft phase, so that's the most important part of the game for me. And then we'll talk more obviously when the game's on, but this draft phase is obviously going to be really unique because frostmancy is actually enabled on this patch just in Korea. So if you're unfamiliar with frostmancy is, that's where you do the no farm, you take frostfang in kleptomancy, or you don't have to necessarily take kleptomancy and you just harass until you have wards and then you start CSing. So that's going to be enabled on this patch, and there's going to be a lot of abuse cases in this series. So that kind of messes with the draft a whole lot, as well as the draft phase. We're going to be learning a bit together because this is the first series that we're going to be doing on 9.3, so we're going to be learning a lot about how the meta is evolving, and even within this series alone, the meta kind of evolves on its own. So that's pretty cool. So the champions that I expect to be pretty powerful on this patch, anyways, the main thing that we can predict is probably the bot lane. The thing that's going to be really interesting is the solo lanes. I think the solo lanes is the thing that's most unpredictable. That is actually going to have to just take a lot of time to understand, and going to be a lot of like, even teams that are scrimming right now probably don't even understand. They're probably playing some things in scrims, but it's going to actually take probably a week or two till teams actually understand what the powerful picks are for the actual solo lanes. So that's going to be really interesting. But the picks I expect to be very strong around the bot lane. For sure the best AD carries are still Lucian, Ezreal are still going to be really powerful. So the early kill pressure with Lucian and the time in which he comes online. So crit got buffed, but the time in which those crit marksmen come online still didn't change really. But the early power of Lucian and being able to play around that is still super important. And then Ezreal scaling and his actual ability to take turret plating and his siege in the mid game is so important. And how you can play around dragons with Ezreal and the power of Lucian is so important. Everything is kind of, the meta seems to be focusing around bot side. A lot of people have differing opinions about that, but it seems to be transitioning around control of bot river, in my opinion. So that is developing to be pretty interesting. I think Kai'Sa is a really bad pick this patch. At least right now, I don't think the build path is being figured out yet. I think Kai'Sa is only a viable pick if you're Kai'Sa is a viable pick if you're picking into another person who's trying to scale, or if you actually have kill pressure in the lane. So if you have your own lane that you have a lot of kill pressure in. But I think if you don't have kill pressure with the Kai'Sa in the laning phase, or if you don't have winning lanes anywhere else, I think Kai'Sa is not the best pick. I think this patch doesn't really allow you to sit back and scale against teams that are going to be drafting an Ezreal, who also scales but is able to actually do things within the mid game and get control around the dragon with, an early style jungler or, a support that can get him around the map. So anyways, that's what I expect. And the actual crit marksmen that might come out in this patch that I think are actually going to be powerful are ones like Sivir and Ashe. I think can be very powerful. Just based, I think they're already good champions before, and I think this patch really benefited them. I think they were already powerful before, and the champions that they're having a hard time with, the champions like Akali, the champions like Aatrox that were destroying those crit-like marksmen, are basically out of the meta. I know Aatrox is in this game, but I think he's pretty not good. Oh, and champions like Camille are pretty out of the meta. I think those types of champions we're going to be seeing a lot. And then maybe Caitlyn. I think people are still messing around with that, but I think Sivir and Ashe are going to be the crit marksmen that are going to come out. But it's Ezreal, Lucian are probably the best marksmen still on this patch. And I think people are going to have to figure out Kai'Sa before we're going to really see her again, see her be really powerful. But anyways, let's talk about this specific game. And the solo lane meta is still figuring out. And in Korea, it's crazy right now because of the frostmancy. But I think we're going to be seeing a lot of split pushers and stuff like that too. I think the split push meta is going to is going to come out. I think it's going to be a viable strategy for some teams. I think this meta is going to be really good because whenever the meta gets kind of in flux like this, teams that have like certain specific strengths on their teams can play their own meta until the meta is really figured out. So we're going to start seeing a lot of teams do like really hard split push meta, or some teams just purely for the team fight meta. Some teams go for full court press meta, which I think is really good. That's what I mean by full court press is where that's a basketball term, by the way. Full court press is where you have 3 pushing lanes, aggressive Olaf jungler type of thing. I think is still good on this patch. So that's why I think Lucian is good on this patch still. But anyways, let's talk about this game. Cool. All right, so we have SKT's comp over here. I left it in the same pick order. So the bans, so now we can actually ban laners rather than banning just flex picks. So that's pretty good. So LeBlanc man makes a lot of sense. I think LeBlanc's really good on this patch. I think Urgot is probably the best champion on this patch outside of the bot laners, outside of maybe like Lucian or Ezreal. But he actually slips through the ban phase in this game somehow. It's like it's the first time ever I think Urgot has ever been not picked or banned in Korea, so that's pretty crazy. He somehow slips through the pick ban phase in this game, which was weird. I think he's the best top laner for sure still. I think he'll be insta-banned every single other game ever until he gets nerfed. So interesting. So we start to see some normal bans. So these bans are fine. All these bans are fine. Orange ban was kind of weird. We see the Silas first pick. So Silas is an interesting first ban. Must be doing really well in scrims. I think he's actually a good champion. I think he's not a very good first pick. He has a lot of really bad matchups if you want to play him in top lane and the enemy team can draft a split push strategy. So I don't like him as a first pick in general, but SKT seemed to value him a lot. But the pick ended up being fine because he actually got picked into a team he does pretty well in, because there's a lot of ults for him to steal, and they're also playing him in the mid lane. So as a mid lane first pick, seems to be kind of fine because there's a lot of ultimates he likes to have. The Aatrox ultimate, the Azir ultimate, the Ezreal ultimate, it's all pretty good for him. So pick is actually fine there, but we get the SKT first pick. Do not like the Kai'Sa pick, as I've already explained. We got the Lee Sin Victor top, and that's going to be a frostmancy Victor and Gragas support. Over here we have the frostmancy Karma top. We also are going to have a Frostfang Azir mid. This is not actually a frostmancy Ezreal bottom with the Tahm Kench, and then this is the Aatrox jungle. So let's talk about what the comps actually want to do, and then what do I think about the drafts. So SKT actually has a scaling team fight type of comp. So in general, I don't really like SKT's draft all that much versus KING-ZONE's draft, based off of they pretty much have 3 losing lanes with a skirmishing jungler. So their early game is pretty bad, but the one bright spot about their early game that they could maneuver around, that SKT can make this work. So most of the time you can't just completely sack all your lanes for the early game, is that all their lanes actually have decent fighting potential. The Victor doesn't have the best skirmishing potential and gank setup, but can have some good gank setup because the Lee Sin can actually wrap around the Karma being on the red side. But there's actually decent skirmishing potential in the 2v2s or the 2v1s with the Lee Sin. So like Lee Sin and Silas versus the Azir has a really good gank setup. Lee Sin can actually wrap around the Karma because they're on the blue side. And then and the gank setup with Lee Sin, Gragas, and Kai'Sa at level 6 is actually really good. But there actually is at level 6 there actually is some fighting potential with Lee Sin, Kai'Sa, and Gragas. But Ezreal Tahm Kench is probably the safest bot lane of all time. And that's actually when Aatrox comes online as well, is at the level 6 point. So a lot of points in the game that are going to be really tough in the early game, especially for SKT. They're gonna definitely won't have control of the entire bot river, which I think is really important in this meta right now, because the roam potential of the Tahm Kench and the lane priority that Ezreal Tahm Kench is going to have on the Kai'Sa Gragas, and the control of the dragon area that this team should have, is going to be really tough. For SKT to overcome in the early game. So they're looking to get to that 3 item mark and then be able to have like those really explosive team fights, and can look for flanks, like really good flanks with the Silas, especially stealing the Azir ultimate and the Aatrox ultimate, just kind of going ham. So that's what they're looking for. And Kaisa and Victor fight really well with their tank line, so they can fight really well with the tank line. So decent, really decent late game team fighting, but it's going to have really hard time controlling the early game and controlling that bot river control that KING-ZONE can obviously have. So on the flip side, as I just talked about, KING-ZONE can actually have a lot of control over the early game with bot river control. And I think bot river control is so important in this game right now. That's why I think Ezreal is such a good first pick on this patch. Ezreal Tom Kench is such a good bot lane, because you can have such good bot river control and have a jungler who's able to skirmish. I think Aatrox is pretty trash on this patch, but as a jungler, he's okay. You know, the thing that's really bad is he can't get double dashes in fights now. So that feels really bad, but he still fights, and it's still, you know, he's still Aatrox, you know, he's still that big monster who comes in and hits you. So he still has the ability to fight, and the roaming potential of the Tom Kench. And then you got to think that Azir is going to be able to get priority whenever he wants to, and will have the health, be able to have the health trait over the Silas. You know, it's arranged into a melee matchup, so they should theoretically have whole bot river control. And there's going to be a lot of Klepto, Frostfang shenanigans going on this game. And the thing you want to do with Ezreal is generally you want to have bot river control, and you're taking plates in the bot lane. You crush bot lane, and then in the mid game you have full control of mid priority with Ezreal, and you're just, you know, chunking the mid tower and poking the enemy out while you're getting vision control around the mid side and keeping control over the objective that you want. So KING-ZONE basically are going to have control over the early game and transition that control to the mid game and maintain control and kind of choke out SKT and never give them a chance, and keep maintaining that lead and growing the lead, and never give SKT a chance. Never give SKT a chance to get to that 3-item spike to where they want to go for that big fight. So just get a lead, maintain the lead, grow the lead, and just take their lead from the bot lane and keep pushing it across the map is basically what they want to do with the game. But anyways, let's just get right into the game. But this game is really weird because there's a lot of interesting things going on with the kleptomancy. So this game's kind of hard to break down. But I definitely like KING-ZONE's draft in this game. The Azir last pick was pretty cool because it's just a free matchup for the Azir, because they actually have some really good scaling options, because basically SKT drafted for full scaling, and then for full scaling and sacked their laning phase, and then you know, KING-ZONE drafted, okay, we'll also draft scaling, except for we also win the laning phase. So that was pretty interesting how that ended up working out. Okay. I do like to talk about jungle pathing. If you ever watch any of my VOD reviews, I talk a lot about jungle pathing. I did watch this last night. Usually I watch these and then I immediately do the VOD reviews, but I did watch this last night, so I do not remember the specific jungle paths that we see, but I'll probably pause a little bit, talk about those. We do watch these in ×2, by the way. Yeah, so we're going to talk about the items that they started, because Karma actually didn't start Kleptomancy or the Frostwing, but she ends up taking it. And the casters kind of talked about this, and I think this was true. Because generally you take this into the melee matchup, and since they saw the Victor, I think the Karma probably thought, oh, this is going to just be a normal lane, so I'll probably not take the Frostfang and just look to bully this lane, because Karma is a bully lane in the first place. So, but she does end up picking it later in the laning phase, which you can totally do. So it looked kind of troll in the game when I was watching. I was like, this is weird, because I was trying to figure it out too, but it makes sense. And the Azir also took it with the Hill of Blades, which makes a lot of sense. So Pawn isn't looking to CS, he's just looking to bully. Yeah, so he's just trying to bully Faker away from CSing. Let's talk about the jungle pathing. So this is standard Lee pathing right now. He can either go to the Scuttle Crab or just go up, but it looks like he's just going to go for a full queer and trade for top side. He actually has a ward right here, so he can tell that Aatrox is going down here, so he knows that he can go up here for free and get that. So he knows Aatrox isn't getting the top skill. So they're just trading sides of the map right now. He knows his bot lane is safe from a gank because they're being pushed in, so they're just trading sides in the map, it looks like. That's pretty normal. Silas is actually getting the early push. So that kind of frees up Lee Sin to move around the map wherever he wants to, but he actually has nothing to take on the top side. But he already knew that, I believe. We should have that knowledge because Aatrox didn't cross the river, and he knows he started top side, so he would have to path bottom side. So Pawn is just trying to zone him from XP, is what he's trying to do. So it looks like Faker has control of the lane, but Pawn actually has control of the lane because Pawn's actually not trying to CS. He's going to burn through his mana, but he went TP and mana flow ban, so he'll be able to get back in. I believe he went mana flow ban. They know the Wii Sense top side. So it frees up to Ezreal to play aggressive. Ezreal's going to back, probably TP back to lane. Yep, Lee Sin's just helping get in the lane in a good spot. Def TP back to lane. Then Lee Sin could probably look for a full clear here, it looks like is what he's going to look for, and maybe a lane gank. Yeah, he gets Khan's flash right here. Good job. Alright, Cuz is going to get Scuttle Crab. So they know where Cuz is. So SKT's bot lane back, so Lee Sin can get a full bot side clear right now and then maybe look for a play mid. Maybe what he's going to look for. He'll get level 6 off of maybe a buff and 2 more camps. But his entire jungle was warded out, his entire top side is warded out, so they know where he's at right now. Yeah, they have vision of him. Interesting. Interesting. Interesting that KING-ZONE's really playing around top side. So Aatrox already got Khan's flash, so he might just be looking for like a level 6 player on top so he can get a kill. So Quid might be hovering for that. Make sure Khan can get a good back. Yeah, so he makes sure he gets vision up there. Yeah, so he's hovering because he knows that they're going to return gank. Yep. There you go. Good play by Quid. Good heads up play by Quid. And also his whole top side is spawning, so he knows that Cuz is going to want to make a return to top side. And that also frees up Def to just do this. So Aatrox doesn't necessarily have to play around bottom side because if bot lane is just left alone, this is what is going to happen to bot side. So if both of the junglers are drawn top side, then this is what will happen to bot by itself. Feels bad Def doesn't get turret gold. You hate to see that. But he couldn't walk up without too soon, so he would actually die. Yeah, so as soon as Khan's flash was gone, Quid had to hover top because he knew Cuz would want to go for a repeat gank. The next level would have been to go for a bot dive. That would have been crazy. That would have been the next level play. Yeah, so Cuz still wants to go for it because he knows the flash timer is close. Yeah, and they have vision of Lee Sin, so they go for it. Don't quite get it. Good play like Quid because his whole top side's not up, so that he can't be punished for going bottom. So actually, pretty good play by Quid. Like this is like a holdover from the last play because Quid was top side before for the counter gank because he knew that he'd be returning, right? So then so whenever he cleared out having that intuition to go back top and then clearing out top for that previous play made it to where he couldn't get punished for Aatrox repeat ganking. So pretty good play by Quid in terms of like his pathing and his farming. But Aatrox doing exactly what he needs to do. He actually doesn't have to make plays around bot side. He just actually doesn't have to make plays around bottom side. He just actually needs to free them up to be able to do what they want. And then whenever they feel like they want to, they have full control over bot river, and they can get control over dragon, right? This is what this team wants to do. There's not a world in which like Kaisa and Gragas can rotate over to that dragon. Oh, they don't get plates on this. This triggered me so hard. I don't think they get plates. Oh, that triggered me so hard. You have to get in range, folks. Rift Herald doesn't give you plates. Death Flasher? No. They didn't get the plates. Like that's why you do that, because you just spawn it immediately, so you get plates. They're going for a roam up top, so they're playing around the Azir back timing because they knew they have a mana advantage. And he saw the Aatrox ultimate. Didn't end up working out. They got a Azir TP, so that's not too bad. So now Faker has TP advantage. They can maybe look to make a play around that, or Faker get a really good back timing. Now plates are gone as well. So right now KING-ZONE really want to break bottom and then just transition Ezreal to mid and do the same thing mid. Oh, pawn play's really bad here. Yeah, that was really bad. Like he stopwatched because he thought he was going to be death rate after that. He may have been death rate and killed by Khan after that. I actually don't think Khan had the range to kill him with the death ray. He may have had the range, but either way, it's a waste of a stopwatch. So really, really bad use of a stopwatch. Feels bad, pawn. So now Ezreal's just going to transition his lead to the mid lane. And they might have the Azir in the side lane. So something I always do in my VOD reviews, just so you know, something I always do in my VOD reviews, I always talk from the point of view of the team with the control, because that's just the easier way to talk, and then I'll mention what the team from behind could possibly do in the game. But I usually always talk from the team from the point of view of control, because they're controlling the pace of the game. So the Ezreal Tahm Kench is just going to go mid, and SKT is going to match, and then they're going to put. Yeah, they're just going to have Azir go topside, I believe. They're just going to have Azir match with the Sylas because he matches really well with him. And they actually have wards active. So they actually have wards active on Azir and Karma and the Tahm Kench. And they actually have a Frostfang on Ezreal. That's why he's falling behind in CS a little bit, is because he's letting Tahm Kench CS. Look how much CS Tahm Kench has right now. He has 73 CS. Tahm Kench has 73 CS. Look at that shit. Crazy. Yeah, they get a kill over there, and Tahm Kench just ults them in, and then Ezreal TPs back up. That's the power of Tahm Kench Ezreal, by the way. You can make plays like that. So Tahm Kench didn't actually have to jump down there. They would have got that kill regardless. The way Cuz actually got that kill was pretty cool. He just stood over the wall and did a sweeper, and he saw him. It was pretty cool. Yeah, so they just want to maintain control over Dragon, over the objective that they want. And with their superior rewards, look, they just get vision control around the objective that they want. Yeah, so look at they put their vision control inside of their jungle. They don't really care about getting in on the actual objective right now, so they can see the enemy coming into the jungle, so they can maybe catch them right there. They put their powerful lane in the mid lane, and also Ezreal, he gets really good mid priority in the mid game. So you just put him in the mid lane so he can poke out, get chunk on the tower. I'm gonna put their Azir topside in the winning matchup that he has, and the Karma bottom. And they can just make rotation plays wherever they need to with the Tahm Kench Ezreal. Tahm Kench Ezreal mid can just make rotation plays wherever they want, and they're the strongest members on the map. And they just get vision control around whichever objective they want. So they want a dragon, so they just put vision control inside of the enemy's jungler around the objective that they want on their strong side. So where there wasn't a tower, right? So they can probably just maintain control of that side of the map, because the next objective they want is going to be the Infernal. So they can just continue to do this until they break mid and take the Infernal Dragon. Looks like they want to reset right now, though. SKT, though, what sucks for them is they're just playing a waiting game. the comp that they drafted is they're having to wait for item timings for their champions to even deal damage, right? I mean, we just have an Infinity Edge over here. We need a Rage Blade. We need a Rage Blade, an RFC, or a or a Phantom Dancer, or a what's that item? The item where you hit multiple people. I don't know why that name escapes me right now, but you know what I mean. That item. The Zeal item. Runan's Hurricane. Jesus Christ. Yeah, so we just have fighting for vision around here. So King-Zone just wants to maintain vision around the objective that they want. So they'll just continue to fight for vision in mid priority. They don't actually care about Baron vision that much because neither team is going to kill Baron right now, barring like an ace. So they don't care about Baron vision that much. They just want vision around mid and the dragon. Pawn and Faker actually have TP now. So there is like a dream fight where Faker gets like a really Faker or Quid gets like a really good flank, but they are pretty behind at the moment in terms of like you don't even have to look at the goal, but just like champion wise, like Ezreal 2 item versus Kai'Sa 1.5 item is like huge difference. Especially Karma, like you have a Karma shielding you, and you have a Tahm Kench who can just make you feel unstoppable. So versus like you have a Gragas. Alright, everybody's looking for a reset right now. This game gets pretty dirty in the late game, but this part of the game is pretty resonant sleeper because, I mean, as I said, all King-Zone wants to do right now is keep priority mid, get vision control around Dragon, and then get Dragon. Looks like we're gonna have a fight here. So King-Zone can look to poke this out. They don't have to do anything special. They can just sit here and poke this out. And just kind of counter engage with the Aatrox Azir. They don't actually have to do anything flashy in order to win this team fight. It's like on the onus of SKT to do something like impressive. But they just get control, poke them out with Ezreal, and take the dragon. They already had vision control, so there was almost no chance of a steal for SKT barring just like Quid doing something nuts. But Quid didn't have like a way in because of all of this vision control that they've been maintaining forever and the priority that Ezreal gives you. Yeah, so Faker looking for a flank. So this is what I'm talking about. This is like what their comp can maybe do. Nope, not able to do it. He just steals the Aatrox ultimate to try to live, but wasn't enough. Just none of the champions do any damage. Now Ezreal has wards. So now we have 12 wards. 12 refreshing wards. Oof. Oof. And gold generating items. And Tahm Kench with like 80 CS. Oof. Ooh, 100 CS. Oof. Okay, so now they want to transition their control. Alright, so now King-Zone, what they want to do now is just transition that priority they had around this quadrant of the map to this quadrant of the map. Right? So instead of maintaining their vision control around this quadrant, just maintain it on this quadrant. Take this tower and maintain mid priority. So they can still maintain mid priority with the Ezreal Tahm Kench, so they can rotate that duo wherever they want, and have control of the Baron. And they get vision control over here and can either have the Azir or the Karma shove in the top side. And have the jungler kind of prowling here, right? So they move as a squad to try to get vision control. They're like, this ain't your jungle. Get the hell out of my jungle. The Azir moves up to push up the top side. Look at all these wards. You don't own this jungle anymore. Alright, you can have the bottom side jungle. Who gives a crap about the bottom side jungle? We're not a 1-3-1 comp. We just want to kill you comp. So the Karma's going to answer the Victor. So they're actually going to run the 1-3-1 with the double TP, which is fine. So they're going to have somebody play on the weak side. So they're probably going to have the Azir play on the weak side, as he's a better solo laner, because they have built the Karma as a supportive type person. So it's probably better to have the Azir play on the weak side of the map. So play not on the weak side of the map, but the map opposite of the epic objective that they want. So the Azir is going to reset and play on the bottom side, so that he can play off of the objective, since he has a TP and has the most solo lane potential as well as the best pushing potential. And Karma is more of a supportive type champion, so she can push out top and help the team. And then the team's going to be mid and actually can rotate to any fight that they want to be in. I think that's what they want to plan to do. But actually the Cloud Drake's coming up. SKT trying to look for a play. Pretty tough right now. Yeah, so everybody's looking for a Cloud Drake. So actually Azir's just looking for a reset and moving down. I think SKT just gets the Cloud Drake, but it's alright. SKT looks for a big fight right there. Has a pretty decent fight right there, but they're so far behind, it's so tough. Like, the only way SKT gets back in this game is if SKT stalls the game out 20 more minutes. Like, realistically, you know what I mean? Like, KING-ZONE's playing this game really, really well. Azir just puts up the turret. They can actually just straight up take Baron off this. They used a lot of their cooldowns. And then Mountain Drink and Azir. Oof. Oof. That was pretty well played. So scratch what I said about the 1-3-1. They're gonna actually set up for the. I believe they want to set up for the 1-3-1 now, or they just set up for 4-1. 4-1's probably better for them with the Karma on their team, since Karma's running full support rather than actual split push. They can probably just set it for 4-1. With the Azir, can play either top or bottom. Is fine. It actually doesn't matter. And Tahm Kench has the ability to rotate on fights, so Azir can actually feel unstoppable. And actually just rotate them up there. Their team fight is actually pretty insane. Look at that control. So they just get full control of a quadrant of the jungle. This is something that like really good teams will do. They'll just control an entire quadrant of an enemy jungle. And this isn't a product. This isn't just because they have 12 refreshing wards on their team. Like, this is what good teams do. Is when they have a lead, they just control an entire quadrant of the enemy jungle. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Karma having that supportive build can't go for the 1-3-1. I don't. They could theoretically do that, but they were kind of losing out in the 1-3-1. But their 4-1 is good, and they're just straight up 5v5 is just way better. They're actually just able to go for that Baron because SKT went for a fight, used their relevant cooldowns, lost a lot of their healths, and then Azir putting that turret up guarantees mid priority, and they already have vision control entering there. And SKT didn't have the health advantage or the cooldown advantage to be able to take a fight into the Baron. Oof. So now they're just going to get... probably look for a reset here, and then Azir goes bottom, I want to say. Or they can just ARAM it if they really want to. They can just ARAM it or look for priority mid and bottom. Safest call is just ARAM it. But they could theoretically just have somebody in the side lane and then Tahm Kench rotates over with the whole team. Karma TP, you know. But Ezreal Siege is actually so good. But yeah, they can take inhibitor if they want. They might just back off. But yeah, they got inhibitor. Yep, they just back off and they can take dragon and rotate bot and mid. This game's really over now. Karma is TPing? No, Ezreal's TPing? Okay. Weird TP. I don't know why he TP'd there. He just walked, I guess. You know, the whole team walked there. I guess Tahm Kench ulted the team there. I guess it was fine then. It doesn't really matter. The game's over. If Faker keeps looking for flanks, but like That's how he wants to play this, but like, look at all this vision. They just transition their vision from here to here because they have literally 12 refreshing wards. It's the power of frostmancy. It was kind of insane that there was like a 0% chance of a flank. But even if he does get the flank, like, it's tough. Their like fighting potential was so difficult. And then yeah, and so King-Zone just take the safe play rather than go for the bot push, which is probably still fine. They'll just take the guaranteed win of just push up mid. Oh, they're actually SKT is actually going to take the fight. So the reason why SKT is taking the fight right here, is because what's going to happen in just a second. All King-Zone has to do is push one wave in mid, get a pink right here, get a pink right here, get a pink right here, and they get a guaranteed ace or free baron. Like, either they, like, there's three things that'll happen. Is SKT has to immediately face check and run into the baron, lose that fight because King-Zone's just going to kill them, right? Give the baron to King-Zone for free because they have to return to their base, or waffle around and they lose their base and they have to recall, and then King-Zone takes the baron and then ends the game. So that's why SKT takes this fight right here. Yeah. This fight goes about as well as it could go for SKT, but yeah. So that's why they took that fight there, and they just TP in for the victory now. So there we go. There is the Game. GG, well played, SKT. Oh no. Anyways, that game was really interesting. So, King-Zone did exactly what they wanted to do with their comp. Actually, a really clean game by King-Zone. That wasn't that bad of a game by SKT. Like, not a bunch of huge individual mistakes or anything like that. Like, not really at all. Like, not a whole lot to complain about if you're an SKT fan. Not even in the draft phase. There's a lot of like cheesy things with the frostmancy going on. That game was made really difficult for Faker on Silas because their team depended a whole lot on flanking and outscaling the enemy. The draft was not very good versus that team because they ended up in a situation where they had three losing lanes and their jungler kind of wasn't able to get their lanes off the ground. Like, the only saving grace of that team comp was maybe Quid can get their lanes off the ground, and if that was able to happen, then there was a chance that their lanes get off the ground and they can move out of the game. But like, not having control of bot river, I think, is really problematic for a team comp. Like that whole quadrant of the map is completely sacked, and then you're also losing topside based off of Aatrox pressure, and Quid had to match it, or that Quid had to match the topside pressure. Because of the Aatrox ganks, or like the top side would have been boom, and bottom side was already going to lose by itself, and they didn't have the ability to actually wrap around and do ganks because Ezreal Tahm Kench is the safest lane of all time. Like, the chance of Lee Sin actually impacting that lane is very, very low, especially the way they were playing that. They were only playing aggressive when they knew Lee Sin had to match top. So King-Zone actually played that game really cleanly. So really good game by King-Zone. Cheesy things with the frostmancy. So even when SKT's comp had a chance to come online, the vision stranglehold that King-Zone's strategy was able to hold SKT down. So there wasn't really a chance for them to come back in the game. So also, I just think the full scaling comp did not go well in that game because I don't think you can draft that way anymore. This isn't 2016, But anyways, that's it for that one. We're going to do Game 2 and Game 3 on a different video. Obviously, Game 2 and Game 3 are much different. A lot less cheesy stuff going on, more standard types of teams. I enjoyed those games a lot more than this one, but this game was really fun. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this one. I really enjoyed making this. I'm really excited to do LCK again. So anyways, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Let me find the record button. Okay, I found it. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye.